Happy Friday, everyone. You know what time it is. It's the Cannabis Events Talk Show, and I am your host, Adelia Carrillo. This is a show by eventhi, and a little bit about the show for those that are new here. The Cannabis Events Talk Show covers all about cannabis events, experiences, and tourism. We keep you updated on the hottest topics, current news, trends, and interviews with guests that are in the event industry, travel industry, or hospitality industry. We also share marketing tips and insights for event producers in the industry and so much more. Now, the beginning of the show, I'm going to go over some industry updates when it comes to events and the mask mandates and how things are changing. Then we will bring on our very special guest who's joining us today, and we will interview her. And then we are going to discuss some of the latest industry news articles. And then after that, I will end off with just some updates and announcements, and then that'll be the show. So, as I normally do, I want to make sure we are live on all platforms. So for those tuning in on LinkedIn, say hello. Let us know where you're joining us from today. I'm going to check and make sure we are live on Facebook. Let's see. We are live on Facebook. There we go. And then I want to make sure we are live on Twitter as well. So we are live on Twitter. And let's double check that LinkedIn group. Anybody that wants to join the conversation, please leave comments in the chat. Maybe we'll bring your comments on the screen for us. You have a chance to ask our guests questions or just join the conversation. So with that being said, let's go into the industry updates so that we can bring our guest on the show with us. So in the latest news, we have Nevada and Delaware. They lifted their indoor mask mandate this week. In Rhode Island, the statewide requirement to show proof of vaccination or wear a mask when entering indoor public spaces has expired. New York has also eliminated its mask or vaccine requirement, making the measure optional for businesses, local governments, and counties to enforce. California will remove its indoor mask rules on February 15th, so next Tuesday, but only for people who are vaccinated. Now, starting February 28th, face coverings will no longer be required in indoor spaces in Illinois, and New Mexico has extended its indoor mask mandate through March 4th. Meanwhile, health officials in Oregon have stated that the state's indoor face covering requirements will be removed by March 31st. And Hawaii has reversed course and announced that travelers will not need to have booster shots in order to be considered fully vaccinated. And the final announcements are Puerto Rico is dropping its testing requirement for vaccinated U.S. visitors. And as of January 15th, proof of vaccination must be shown in Washington, D.C. for access to indoor events, restaurants, gyms, and other indoor settings. So I dropped a lot of updates. I will also put those into the notes later today. But the consensus is things are starting to open up. Masks mandates are starting to lessen, and even the requirement of boosters are starting to get removed as well. So before we bring our guest on, we got some communication. Hi, Yuhani. Thank you for joining us today from Las Vegas. Josephine, hello. Thank you from Arizona. And we got Monique. Hi, Monique, joining us from Palm Springs. We got Divyanshi. I hope I didn't butcher your name. Hello from Oregon. We have Iowa in the house. We got Vanessa Oliver. Thanks for tuning in from California. And we got Tony. Tony's from Chicago joining us. So welcome. Thank you all for tuning in. And now let's get to the best part where we bring our special guest on. So I am so honored to introduce you all to this week's co-host. April Black is the founder of Higher Way Travel and has been offering cannabis tourism experiences since 2018. So she's been doing this for a while. She knows this industry. She has seen all the ups and downs, especially when it comes to cannabis tourism. She combines her background in hospitality, wellness, and tourism to offer customized vacations, retreats, and tours for lovers of cannabis and travel. So let's bring her on. Welcome, April.
Hello. Hello, everybody from everywhere.
Thank you for joining us today. Now, I said a little bit about you, but please share with our audience your backstory and, quickly how you got into the industry.
Sure. I'm just going to be perfectly honest. I started smoking in high school, which led to activism, which led me to working at a head shop in college. And then I later was a distributor myself, a little one-lady shop, of course. I later got into yoga and wellness, and then I began to teach at resorts in Arizona, where I'm from, which led me to be the activity coordinator and director of the oldest golf course in Scottsdale, which led me to working for CS Travel, which was a tour operator, and that led to cannabis tourism.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you for joining us, and you're going into a little bit of who you are. Now, with Higher Way Travel, how did that really start to evolve into the business that it now is today?
Sure. Well, with my previous experience booking all those international trips for the Cannabis Cup from 2008 to 2014, I had formed a lot of relationships with a lot of people and maintained some friendships with people that I had booked trips for. And one of these individuals was working with the Hawaii Cannabis Expo, and they had asked for my experience in putting packages together, which is how Higher Way Travel was created. And then through the years, I've been able to combine my expertise with wellness, with hospitality, with cannabis, and with being a tour guide to what I've created as far as Higher Way Travel goes. So I can book people to cannabis-friendly vacations. I can help people curate their events. I put on a couple of my own smaller cannabis-centric events. And now I've just created a couple tours in the area where I live in Central Coast, California.
So we have some exciting announcements, but to give some of a backstory, where have your other retreats and events been? You did say some in your local area, but you also have had other retreats outside of the U.S., correct?
Sure. Yep. I've had retreats in Jamaica, and I've had an event all the way in Hawaii, which is still the U.S., but that's still quite a distance away. And we've had some events in Spain that were corresponding to Spannabis pre-COVID. And so, yeah, and then, of course, Amsterdam. So most of my experience is international destinations, but, everything has to shift. And just focusing where I'm at now and focusing on the great state of California and what we have to offer is amazing because we have so much here to share.
Yes. And California is really it's a beautiful state. We are definitely tourism centric, just because of all the different things you can find. So now let's go into these. You've been holding off on sharing some announcements, and we're so lucky that you saved them to be announced on the show today. So what are those? What's going on?
All right, I sure did. Well, first thing is our site is brand new. Bobby redesigned our site, so when you get a chance, please check that out. It's completely different. And so, like I said, I have some local tours in the area where I live, and I'm located near Pismo Beach, California, and that's in San Luis Obispo County. A lot of people may not be familiar with the area, but this is a premier wine destination. It's also becoming a cannabis destination. So I have two tours. I have my Buds and Butterflies tour, which starts with some cannabis education, cannabis dispensary hopping, and then we do a coastal hike, have a nice sesh, and then that leads to where the Monarch butterflies come and overwinter during their migration. And we happen to have one of the biggest migration areas here in Pismo Beach. So I do a little education about the Monarch butterflies, their migration, their plight, and then everybody leaves with a packet of milkweed seeds, which is what the Monarch butterflies prefer to eat. So that's that tour. And then the second one is like a yoga infused tour. So using my yoga background, since I've been teaching since 2004, again, we go to a coffee place, have some cannabis education, terpene education, go to some coffee shops, but then we go to the beach, have a great yoga session, followed by drinks and snacks. So those are those two tours. And then the two big announcements is I have two events on the books so far for this year. The first one is going to be in June 24th through the 27th at Soul Spirit Farms, which is all the way in Northern California in the Emerald Triangle. It's at the border of like Trinity County and Humboldt County. And so Soul Spirit Farms is a regenerative cannabis farm. They got two special certifications deeming them such. They have a Dragonfly Earth Medicine certification and the Sun Earth certification. So they're as clean as it can be. They have a fully sustainable farm. They have 6 glamping sites. Everything they do is off the grid. So I'm building on what they have to offer with what they do, which is live off the land. So this is called Greener Days at Soul Spirit Farm. And I'm going to offer some composting workshops, some tie-dye workshops where you're using natural items for your dyes, like your turmeric and cabbage and different flowers and different botanicals to create the dyes instead of using some sort of RIT dye, let's say. There's going to be a kombucha bar, and we're going to create an elixir bar and have some cannabis and kombucha pairing. And then there's going to be yoga. I have a sound bath included with that. And then the next day, we're going to float down the river with a Native American guide who's going to tell us all about the land we're on. And there's a lot of animals out there, so we'll be pulling over on the banks of the river to have some smokes, to have some snacks, to view some wildlife, and just really get intimate with nature and just hang out, be outside, be off the grid, and learn some new gardening techniques. And then the second announcement I have is I'm bringing back Baked on the Beach. That's right, Baked on the Beach is back, and I'm moving it to Hawaii, and it'll be in the North Shore in Haleiwa Town, which is famous, world famous for surfing. This event will be in August 11th through the 14th, but the waves won't be so crazy big, so it'll be a perfect time for snorkeling and getting in the water, taking a surf lesson, and doing some beach hopping. We work with a few partners out there, and we have a garden tour in store. We have a luau planned for being held at the Cannabis Garden, which is pretty exciting. And I'm bringing back my Surf and Terps tasting, which combines the delicious magical tropical fruits of Hawaii with the delicious magical tropical terps of Hawaii and their cannabis, and seeing how those play off of each other. And of course, as always with all my trips, we have the cultural component, and we will be taking a day trip to Waimea Valley and having a guide us through this sacred land, and it's 73 different sites that will teach us the ways how the Hawaiians lived and teach us about their precious land.
Oh my goodness.
And,
you have been hard at work. That is all of that is so amazing. And the experiences and how, for all your events and retreats that you do, I just love how you really touch in on, like you said, where you're at. You enhance the experience to what it provides you or what the land provides you or the venue, wherever you are. That's such a cool description. I loved it.
No, thank you. Yeah, I've been really, really busy in my hive, just keeping my head down and drinking my water and just working on things and having meetings with people and getting it going. I'm really, really excited for both of these events. I'm excited for the tours. The Buds and Butterflies tour, of course, is a seasonal offering, November through March, because the butterflies do have to fly away and continue on their mission. But when that switches over, I'll have an outdoor cannabis farm tour right here in San Luis Obispo County.
So you do have a couple questions coming through. So Monique would like to know, oops, there we go. Which place, city, state, or country is your favorite Canna destination?
Ooh. It's hard to pick a favorite. I'm not going to lie. Amsterdam has a very, very, very special place in my heart, but I also love hash. I'm a big hash head. So Spain has a very special place in my heart, but I love Jamaica. When I was 19, I went to my first reggae festival and had a very psychedelic, connective experience with reggae music. So Jamaica is, I think, my top destination because just the connection and to the music and being in the motherland of reggae music.
That's awesome. And then what island in Hawaii are you having that at?
Well, this will be Oahu. And so Haleiwa is on the north shore of Oahu, which is about 45 minutes north of Honolulu.
Perfect.
And famous Waikiki Beach. Maybe even more an hour from Waikiki Beach dealing with traffic. But yeah, about 45 minutes north of Honolulu.
Well, and those that are interested, I'm going to put their website back up on the screen so you can check it out right there. Take a screenshot, or it's higherwaytravel.com, and you can follow them and start to stay updated with their upcoming events. So next question. What is the best piece of advice that you have for someone looking to travel out of the country to experience cannabis tourism?
All right. Well, I'd say definitely find somewhere where cannabis is celebrated, tolerated, where it's legal. I mean, in Amsterdam, it's not like legal, but it's gray area and it's very tolerated. And same thing with Spain. I wouldn't say it's so legal, but it's tolerated in Spain. But do some research and find out where you won't get in trouble if you want to go enjoy cannabis. And there's so many different destinations. And then I would say look into like some of the cultural things of where you're going, some do's and some don'ts. That way, when you're meeting with different people, you're being respectful. And then make sure that there's easy access where you're going, and bring extra socks. Bring extra socks when you travel, especially to international destinations, because you just don't know.
I love those tips. I wouldn't have thought about the socks. So we do have a comment from Dimitri, who is he is the founder of Meta, and they are interested in doing a Meta travel, possibly in their email. So I'll connect you both. They have a large network. Maybe there could be some industry insights for the travel sector.
Awesome, awesome, awesome.
So, before we go into the articles, what you shared your announcements. Any other updates that people should be keeping an eye on for 2022?
So those packages will be available in March. I'm still solidifying some price points, but I wanted to get the word out there to everybody and share that, because I was just going to burst, really. And nothing too much, just, thinking about a couple other destinations. I'm thinking about Costa Rica, honestly. They're pretty CBD forward, and they're going in the steps of legalization, medical. And then Alaska. I have had my eye on Alaska for a long time. I'd really like to see the Northern Lights, but I'd really also like to see the midnight sun. I'm sure a whole lot of other people would too.
Yes. Well, keep us posted. All the different experiences you're creating are so unique from each other. And I think just important. We're all ready to get out, it's time to get out and travel. So these experiences are perfect timing. Now next up, we're going to start going into the articles. We have 3 news articles today that April and I are going to discuss. So normally how it works is I'll kind of give a snippet of the article, and then me and the guest co-host will just chat a little bit about it before we go to the next topic. So article number 1, it's the world's first airport cannabis store, one step closer to reality in Prince George. Now, for those that tune in regularly, this isn't the first time we've talked about this. We talked about it earlier when they were letting us know that they had one more meeting, I guess, to see how the process was going to move forward. So, to give some update, the Prince George City Council gave preliminary approval for the world's first airport cannabis retailer, despite opposition from Canada's 2 largest airlines. So the City Council did vote in favor of granting the 3rd reading to a bylaw to allow Co-Pilot Cannabis to develop a cannabis retail store at the Prince George Airport. This was on a public hearing on Monday. And now the final approval of the rezoning will be held with the BC Liquor and Cannabis Regulation branch, and they're the ones that are going to grant the approval for the cannabis license. So a few things to note before we start talking about it. They are so one of the during the presentations, the founders kind of addressed some of their people's concerns from the airlines. So they said that the staff at the store would check boarding passes and only sell cannabis to people traveling domestically. In Canada, airline passengers can actually travel with up to 30 grams of cannabis or the equivalent. In addition, the store would not sell cannabis to airport or airline staff. And then the final component is the airport will create a designated cannabis consumption area. So that's going to be different than the tobacco smoking areas. They'll create one specifically for cannabis consumption. So what are your thoughts on this, April? Have you heard about this? Yeah.
I love it. I love it. I think it's awesome. I think it'd be great to have a place to consume at an airport, go to the airport and not have to worry about like sneaking it in through security, be able to pick up a couple joints, go have a smoke, and then get on your flight. That's perfect. Flying high. I love it. Smoke and fly. Finally.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when they have the duty free anyway. You can buy alcohol, and they're going to be giving out, selling alcohol on planes again. It's not, it was just canceled temporarily. So I think it's a perfect fit.
Yeah, I agree.
And I love the name Co-Pilot Cannabis.
Right? Yeah, that was a great name that they picked. Yeah, I agree too. I think it's a great step in the direction. And for me too, sometimes I get anxious. I'll take a gummy because I get anxious flying, but then I get anxious there because I'm like, oh my gosh, I have cannabis. Like sometimes you get extra paranoid. So if it was allowed, that would lessen it.
Yes.
Now the next article. So Grassroots. This article was talking about how CBD spa treatments took the hotel world industry by storm. So for those that have been traveling or keeping an eye up on the CBD kind of landscape, a lot of hotels have been incorporating CBD into their businesses. I went to I don't remember the name of it, but they, in the area where you get all your snacks, they also had a fridge that actually had CBD products. Other places you can go and order CBD massages, they'll come in, or you go to their spa. And so this article was talking about Switzerland and Switzerland's prestigious and spendy Gastab Palace Spa Hotel. They're offering high-tech CBD treatments where you get scrubbed down with a mix of CBD oil, rose petals, lavender, and hemp leaves. They also are involving infused teas, a soak in a bath of cannabis-infused herbs, and then again, that CBD oil massage. Now, another example they gave in this article was Yorkshire's Coniston Hotel and Spa. They're planning a whole CBD wellness retreat in March. So this is an actual hotel planning this, which is, I haven't heard of that yet. That's cool. Have you heard of that? Yeah, right? That's huge.
Yeah, and I signed me up for that scrub. Everything.
Exactly. So, and then it goes into stating how the CBD market is projected to be worth $20 billion by 2024. So again, especially after a pandemic, the biggest thing I think that we can really kind of continue to educate on is how cannabis events and tourism and that kind of hospitality component can really help businesses, local cities bring in more jobs, all these things. Like this, I think could definitely be a great switch around to getting out of this kind of pandemic.
And it also just aids into the normalization of cannabis, and then maybe it starts the conversation with some countries or some families and people that wouldn't have had that conversation.
So true. Exactly. That's the one thing too. I remember, years ago that when people started really talking about CBD more, I was like, this is the perfect introduction. It's like the perfect introduction for like my mom. I would, kind of wheel her in, start her with topicals, and so she can see how it helps. And then if she wants to further explore medicinally, at least we've got her started off easily. Yeah. So we have one more article, which is this is the marijuana lounges could finally come to Massachusetts. So, the past few weeks, we've been talking about a lot of different lounges and the discussions that are happening within California, Nevada, New York. Now, Massachusetts is starting that conversation. However, they've been working on it for quite a while. So the article states, after years of delays and false starts, cannabis lounges could finally be coming to Massachusetts. A bill that would allow social consumption facilities, essentially the equivalent of a bar, is now moving forward on Beacon Hill as part of a broader package of reforms to the state marijuana laws. So if this passes, cities and towns could choose whether to allow such establishments. A couple more things to note is under the bill, municipal legislative bodies such as city councils could vote to authorize social consumption lounges without holding a local referendum. And the rules call for a pilot program in a handful of volunteer municipalities. But what's exciting is they already have Provincetown, Somerville, Springfield, Holyoke, I'm butchering these names, but Amherst and North Adams have all expressed interest in these cannabis kind of cafes. So I know the article went into more kind of a not so good side to these lounges. So April, I know you had some great comments onto that. What were your thoughts on this?
So I like the idea of that. I think that when adult use was coming to play in any of these states, they should have thought, oh, where can people actually enjoy this cannabis? That conversation should have been had a long time ago. But there's a couple of things with this article that I thought was kind of dumb. And they say this in a lot of articles about consumption lounges. They like to say Amsterdam style cafes. Okay, well, if you're going to do it Amsterdam style, then offer coffee, offer drinks, offer snacks, because cannabis and the munchies go hand in hand. And I saw in this article that they wanted to ban like food sales. And they also, didn't want to have any outdoor cannabis, not outdoor cannabis, but outside cannabis products coming into the lounge, which is kind of silly because maybe what they could do is charge a fee to use the lounge instead. So that way, it's still welcoming to people. They have a safe place to consume, allow food. They will spend money on that. And I think it's a win-win for everybody.
Yeah, I love that. That's so true. There's the hotel, I'm sure you've heard of it. It's the Claritin Hotel here in Arizona. So they actually now have a membership room where they knew how important it was for the locals, because the locals don't have anywhere to, again, to consume, especially if they're in apartments downtown. So they have like a lounge area, and you can have a membership to come there and actually consume. I thought that was so smart. And they're seeing the need and the importance of safe consumption for people.
Yeah, Arizona's good like that. Even though Arizona has some weird laws and stuff like that, they have some really liberal laws seemingly too. Like I've never seen as many smoke shops and head shops anywhere else in the country, and drive-through liquor stores. And I think they have some drive-through cannabis stores. So it's only natural that Arizona and Phoenix, especially, of course, would be one to embrace lounges right away.
Yeah. So we have one more question before we let you go today. So this is from Bill. He was looking at the butterfly tour. It says 1 large coffee. Is this infused?
No, it's not infused. It's not infused, but we meet at a coffee shop, and we want to support the business. Plus, when we're sitting outside in the back, and I'm giving you guys my cannabis education and terp talk, and I have different scents and different things that you can smell with essential oils and herbs and shaker bottles. It's nice to cleanse the palate with a little bit of coffee in there, so you don't have like any aftertastes from any of the terpenes that we've been sniffing.
Interesting. Now, so where can people, if they want to learn more, I'll put your website back up, but where else can people find you or get connected?
Sure, you can find me at higherwaytravel.com, and you can find me on Instagram at higherwaytravel. Same thing with Facebook. It's Facebook.com/higherwaytravel. And then we have a YouTube page, which I'm going to be a little bit more active on, which is our Higher Way Travel YouTube page. But mostly you'll find me on my website, Higher Way Travel, and on Instagram.
Perfect. So I just put up the website and now it's the Instagram. So again, take a screenshot, give them a follow, and stay updated with everything that's happening. Thank you, April, so much for joining us and sharing your
Thank
insight.
you.
I am super thankful and appreciative and just so excited for all these changes.
Me too.
One more question, actually, I want to get this is, what is the typical season for Monarch tours?
Okay, that's November through March.
Perfect.
Well, end of October, they start trickling in. Really, mid-October, they start trickling in. But, November, it's popping. December's popping. Right now, it's popping. I've got some videos on my Instagram and of just the butterflies, but it just looks like falling leaves, like falling orange and golden leaves. And it's just monarch butterflies. And the cool thing about this is that their numbers were in serious decline since the 90s. The numbers have been declining, and they have people do monarch counts. How they count butterflies, that's a whole separate thing. But and last year they only counted 2,000. That's it.
Wow.
This year they've counted 24,000.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So they have little trackers on them, but I kind of think that maybe some of them just went somewhere else.
Yeah.
Like there has to be places on this earth where humans don't know where butterflies go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I'd like to think that anyway.
Yes. Well, again, thank you so much, April. And we'll definitely keep us posted on your announcements. And everyone, definitely go check out higherwaytravel.com.
No, thank you so much. And thank you for the questions, everybody. And you guys have a wonderful weekend. Everybody enjoy the weekend and have a happy Valentine's Day if you celebrate.
Yes. Happy Valentine's Day. All right. So that was amazing. I always enjoy learning so much from our industry, experts and those that are passionate about the event tourism and event industry. So just a few updates before we go today. Next week, our special guest is Leah Sarai from Lush for Life, and she's going to be joining us and talking about all things events. And then this week is every week we pick a new event to highlight. So this week's event is called Weed to Table Valentine's Day Dinner. This is hosted by Weed to Table, California, and they are creating a wonderful Valentine's Day dinner experience. Their mission is to provide a social dining experience that is good for the mind, body, and soul, one course at a time. They are going to have a 4-course dining experience that is lightly infused. However, it's not just THC. They're going to have some CBD as well as terpenes. And you do have the options of how strong how strong you would like to dose your meals. Now, they are not like other cannabis-infused dinner companies. It does state that they are women-owned, but they look to educate diners on the benefits of consuming things like THC, CBD, and terpenes in small amounts. So if you're interested in learning more, go to eventhi.io and check out Weed to Table Valentine's Day Dinner. And that is it for this week's show. Join us next week. We hope you enjoy these segments with our special guests. And with that being said, stay safe, stay healthy, and stay high.